Hi friends, it's Amy with Humility and Doxology with another great speech this week. Not a poem this week. We're going to do a speech for our year of memory work, but it is 2 weeks in a row where it's kind of a this time in history related selection. So you may or may not know that the Battle of Gettysburg and the American Civil War occurred in July, the beginning of July. And we're all familiar, hopefully, with Abraham Lincoln's famous Gettysburg Address. What you may not know is that he actually delivered that address in November. So he delivered it on November 19th, 1863. So as I was planning out the year of memory work, I was trying to decide, when are we going to do this? Will we do it near the time of the battle or later on? And I decided to do it now that we are close to the day that President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, would have delivered this Gettysburg Address there at the site of the battle. Now, my kids and I have memorized this in the past, and it always is pretty humorous to us. We'll get to a line, where is it? Oh, I'm gonna lose it. The world, of course, it was like the last sentence I looked at. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here. And we have to laugh because there was another man who delivered a speech that lasted a couple hours that day at the dedication and this memorial for the men who had died at the battle. And none of us even know his name. And I mean, I guess obviously historians do, but you and I don't know his name. And we don't recite his speech. And yet this very short, one page with pretty big font, it's just one short paragraph speech, is one of the most famous addresses in American history. So it has a lot to be said for learning to write well, simply, and with few words. So grab your printable from humilityanddoxology.com and recite with me the Gettysburg Address by Abraham Lincoln. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to that great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they here gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. I'll see you next week.